Hello everyone, I am Atul from Cyberson Academy. In the last representation, I discussed what the computer language is and why we need to learn a programming language. Hope you understood them well. So in today's lecture, I am going to talk about compiler, file extension, software development in C. So let's discuss them one by one. A compiler is a predefined program which converts your program written in a high level language into low level language. That is, your compiler converts your source code into a machine code. Also, compilers are OS specific. That is, if you have a Windows C compiler, then that Windows compiler converts your source code into a machine code, and that machine code only understand by Windows operating system. Any other operating system like Mac or Linux does not understand that machine code. Same way, if we have a Mac C compiler, then it works for Mac operating system. If we have a Linux C compiler, then it works for Linux operating system. Also, compilers have ability to check errors. Suppose in our C program, some piece of code does not understand by compiler, then a compiler gives a compilation error. Now, let's talk about what is a file extension. A file extension is the suffix at the end of a file name that indicates what type of file it is. Suppose if we have a text file, then a file extension should be .txt. If we have an audio file, then a file extension should be .mp3. If we have a video file, then a file extension should be .mp4. Same way, if we have a C program, then file extension should be .c. If we have a C++ program, then file extension should be CPP. So when we write our C program, then that is our source code. And here, let's understand how a software develop in a C language. So after writing our program, this is known as your source code, and now this is your C program, and here you can see that the file extension of this C program is .c and a file name is a.c. And also you will able to write your first C program soon. So don't worry about that. And to develop a software, we first interact with a predefined software known as a preprocessor, C preprocessor. C preprocessor controls all the statements starts with hash symbol in our C program. And a C preprocessor adds some content from header files. So header files are those files with file extension .h, and there are some piece of code already predefined in our header files, and if we require that piece of code in our C program, then a preprocessor adds some content from that header files into our C program and converts our a.c file into a.i file, and this a.i file has not any statements which starts with hash symbol. Also in upcoming lectures, we will discuss the statements start with hash symbol in detail. And now, our compiler basically works for a particular operating system, converts your .i file into an object file, and the file extension of that object file is .obj. And depending upon operating system, that object file understand by different operating system. But still there are some piece of code in that object file whose meaning does not understand by the operating system. So for that we have a predefined software known as a linker, and linker add library files to in our object file, and those piece of code meaning are already defined in library files. And now linker add library files to object file, and that it converts it into a machine code. And this machine code, now computer understands, our operating system understands this machine code, and this is known as your software. And the file extension of this software is .exe. Okay, so here you can see that how a software develop in a C program. Since I have used a Windows C compiler, so this file extension is .exe, and now our operating system, suppose a Windows operating system, understands this software. So this is a whole process how a software develop in a your C program. So when you write your C program, that is your source code, and this is that is not your software. But when it converts into a machine code, and that is your software, and that software basically understand by operating system or computer. So this is the whole process of how a software develop, and also this is end of this lecture. And thanks for watching. If you like the video on C programming, so please do subscribe the channel and share it with your friends, and God bless you all.